And it's just amazing how, and enlightening that it's not the specific path that we're all taking or that we're all supposed to take. Everybody has their own journey. And I just love, how authentic everyone is.
Welcome to the Marvelous Moms Club podcast. Discover yourself, break out of mediocrity, and become the mom you've always aspired to be. Here's your host, Kirsten Tyrell.
Hello, Marvelous Moms. Welcome to another episode of the podcast. Today, I'm joined by a fellow podcaster. Her name is Ashleigh Blatt, and her podcast is Mompreneur on Fire, which you can tell already by the title why I was super intrigued and excited to chat with her, because we love our mompreneurs here on Marvelous Moms Club, especially ones that are on fire, and it sounds like you're on fire, so welcome, Ashlee.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Raise the roof. She's doing a little raise the roof action. I'm so excited to chat with you. I was telling her before, it's always fun to chat with another fellow podcaster who kind of understands the process and has great equipment. Not that I don't love all my moms who come to me with like no microphone or anything, but it's just so fun.
Yeah. And it's good to, work with the headphones and the microphone and quality. Yeah. It's all fun.
It is fun. So tell everybody about your kids, how many kids you have and their ages and what your mom life looks like.
Oh my goodness. I have two beautiful daughters. One is 5.5. Her name is Elizabeth. And then she is my rule follower and my helper. And then I have a 4-year-old who is my pistol and keeps me on my toes.
So you have them pretty close together.
Yeah, 17 months.
Wow. That's so fun though. And it's actually nice. The oldest one's the helper, right?
Yeah.
It kind of helps keep the pistol in line a little bit.
Well,
not so much.
You know what is good about having them so close together is that they're like best friends now. They just play, and they play more often than they fight.
That's good.
But they entertain each other and get creative together, and it's just really fun for the most part.
It takes a while to get to that sweet spot. I remember people telling me that when my boys were really little, because they're 22 months apart, and just being like, it's going to get so much better. It's going to be so much fun. And now we're finally there where I can't necessarily say they play more than they fight. I feel like it's a 50-50, but we're getting there. It's still more fun. It's like, oh yes, finally you guys know how to play together and I don't have to entertain you, and they're into the same things. So it's such a fun time.
Yeah. And then even this summer is the first time that they're able to go to camp together.
Oh yeah.
So, I've lined up some of their friends to be in camp, but even this week they're on their own and they've got each other.
That's so fun. So is it just a day camp that they go to for summer?
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
Yesterday was the first day of this special camp, and I picked them up early because they're still on the younger side, and they got in the car and started crying. They were so tired. They were out in the sun all day and swimming and doing all these, fun activities, and then they just crashed.
Oh, that sounds like heaven.
Yeah.
That's the best part of summer. I just barely came with my kids from a little splash pad area they have here, which I just moved from California where the beach is and the ocean. And I was like, how can I ever replace this? And I was happily content being there because it was a lot safer than worrying about them running into the ocean. Yeah. Still refreshing. And they had so much fun. And they're going to be totally worn out. Like on the way home, I could just see the lethargic faces setting in. I'm like, yes, it's successful.
That was a good camp.
Yes.
I'll sign up again.
Yeah, it's super fun. So tell me about your business and kind of how that all started, how you began a podcast or what came first.
Oh my goodness. So I was actually just talking with somebody about my process, and before kids, I had a consulting firm that was successful, was happy with, traveled a lot. Though that was the problem. So when kids came, I was like, done and done. I'm done traveling. And I really just had a major shift. So I stayed home with the girls for the most part and then did projects here and there. Last year, I'm actually in California, and I was talking with my girlfriend back east, and we were talking about, we're building a business. We're trying to grow it and do all the things that you have to do to grow it. We're servicing our clients. And as soon as we get momentum, our kid would get sick or the holiday season or birthday parties. So here we are, we're really managing two beasts, like you're not only trying to raise and manage a healthy family and household, but then at the same time, you have this massive, child baby of its own where it's your business.
Yeah.
And her and I would just talk, to each other over and over again. We're like, we can't be the only ones who are in this.
Yeah.
And, we decided to start a podcast. Let's see if we can talk to other moms. How are they doing it? Why are they doing it? Why are we the crazy ones? Yep. So it was great fun. And between the two coasts, her and I, it was just an additional too much of a beast for her to take on. But I started talking with the other moms and mompreneurs, and I just love it. Everybody, to me, is successful and inspirational, and yes, I just need to know some of the inside knowledge.
Yeah.
Like, just tell me, are you putting dinner on the table? Is that going?
Is it gourmet? Is it DiGiorno?
Is it? Yeah, exactly. So it has just been a really great, fun blessing. And in that, really, my girlfriend was like, are we going to make money on this? I'm like, I don't even know. Let's just start and do it. And what's so crazy is that this past year, I've had to do a deep dive into social media and, how do I get more than 8 listeners,
Yeah, it's a big beast to conquer.
And that's a piece in itself. So I, have done a big deep dive into social media. And it's crazy to me now that I can look at your social media, anything, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and see, where improvements need to be made. And so I've actually started consulting with brands and other solopreneurs on that too. So that's fun. And it's, keeping me on my toes.
That's an interesting concept that I learned once on another podcast. Not like that it's a new idea or anything, just it was so cool to think when you're in this whole online business mentality. He was saying how you can have so much success learning something very specific that not everybody wants to take the time to learn, kind of like social media it's a giant and it's super overwhelming. So spend 20 hours. Really, that's about it. If you have 20 designated hours to learn a trade, whether it's learning Pinterest really well or learning pixels or something, and then sell your knowledge and sell your expertise in that, because not everybody has personally, I don't have the time. I have to pay people to do the really small little things I could do, but I'm not as productive. Or I don't want to learn it. I don't care. I just want it to work.
Yeah, right. And I think it's interesting because I'm like, why didn't I hire? Why didn't I? And I think it was I didn't really know if the podcast was going to take off, if it was going to be something I was going to stick with, if I was even going to like it. And I think it was everything, every step by step was an organic step. And now it's crazy. I look at you can look at some people's, their profiles or whatever activity they're doing, even celebrities, I'm not kidding. And you'll see, I'm like, their social media firm is out of date. They're 5 years ago.
I don't want you to look at my stuff then. It makes me nervous.
No. But it's fun because you're like, oh my goodness, it's opportunity and you can make it better. And it's not that hard, just a tweak here and a tweak there. And everything will explode. So it's awesome. Fun in that way. Yeah.
It's fun that you've done it yourself, because now you have another, tool in your tool belt that you can, in a way, monetize. That's kind of how you're monetizing your podcast. You're showing people you have this skill set now that you can help them.
It was totally unplanned. And It's funny because it kind of goes back to my consulting roots, right?
Yeah.
Like I thought I was stepping away from that.
Right.
And it's just another, a natural piece.
Yeah.
So it's been fun.
Cool. That's amazing. I love it. I had a similar experience with the podcast, kind of starting it like people would say, well, how do you monetize a podcast? And I'm like, well, there's ways. I haven't figured them out yet. I haven't done it yet, but there's ways. I will eventually. I just kind of want to see where this goes. And it's more a passion project than like going to be my source of income. But now it's just like looking at the overall picture. I never intended to monetize it, but there's so much of our financial success that's come because I've built this like online presence through having a podcast, and just my knowledge has grown because of the people I've talked to and being able to reach out to other people. It's just fun to have, and that's why I love podcasting. It's so unique. Like when you're in the world of podcasting, it feels like everybody's doing it, but in my world of like mom life and everything, I'm the only one that I know doing it. You know what I mean?
Totally. My friends are, I have to like give them instructions on how to find the podcast on their phone.
Me too, all the time. They're like, oh, that thing, I put that in my other folder. I didn't know what it was. I'm like, that's for podcasts, and that's where you'll find me.
And then it's ultimately weird when they're like, I listened to you. It's so weird.
It's so cool, though. I love it. It opens a lot of doors, and I'm glad that you're having success with yours. So when I kind of sent you a questionnaire, you answered some questions, it sounds like you've kind of had that buckle down year where you're like, this is the time to like just focus and make amazing things happen, and you're having huge success. So tell me about that, and like, where do you think the shift came from, and what do you think was like your biggest step that helped things take off a little bit further?
Great question. So really this year has been, I feel like it's my year. And I sit here and I'm talking to you, and up on my wall, I have like all these pictures where it's, this is my year, this is my year. And they're up there because when I started my podcast in January, at the beginning of the year, I was so nervous having my first interviews, and I was like awkward, and I was sweating when I was talking to people. But I couldn't let that stop me. And I was like, and I would tell myself, this is my year, this is my year, this is my year. And then, there's just been so many different things that happen. I was like, I don't have time to feel bad from playing too hard on the weekend. I don't have time or the desire to I've changed my food habits. I've changed my exercise. I got a life coach. There was this woman that I had worked with through training reasons years and years ago, and she had said at the new year that she was taking new clients, and I recommended her on Facebook to everyone I knew. And then I was like, I could have a few things I could work out. Maybe we could have a conversation. And literally within like 7 minutes of our first, let's see how this will work conversation, I was bawling. I was like sobbing, And so it was like, oh my gosh, I'm just putting it out there. I'm doing different things, and I will not accept that this is not my year. Right. And so it's just been continuous learning. It's been continuously trying new things. I've started meditating, which I cannot recommend more than anything else in the whole world. I got a coach. I got another, it was just like throwing it all out there. I don't know what's going to work. I don't know what's going to stick, but I'm going to do my best.
I love that. I'm so proud of you and so excited.
Thank you.
I'm totally fired up. Like that's your premise of your podcast. You're a mompreneur and you're on fire, and this is your year. And I totally can sense that, even like through the computer screen. And I love that. And we just moved into a new house, and I'm totally going to line the wall behind our computers with like our dream board. I think that would be the perfect place, right behind where you're working. And I think it's so interesting for people listening. Like, there are principles of success that just translate across the board. Any successful mompreneur or business person or just a happy person live by those same principles. And there are just some really basic things that people who have happiness and joy in their life do. And that includes like healthy eating, meditating or yoga, something to like focus your energy, focus your thoughts, positive affirmations, saying all the time like, nope, this is my year. This is my year. The visualization. I mean, all of that stuff is not that complicated, but we look at it and sometimes think, oh, that's just weird. That's not really going to make us successful. My husband and I have a goal this year, which I've talked about on the podcast, to become millionaires by the end of the year, which is, I need to get out of the habit of saying, oh, I know it sounds so crazy, because to us, it doesn't sound crazy, but we're so used to trying to explain that to everyone.
Right.
Everybody's like, well, how? And we're like, well, a bunch of different ways. But I understand that whole, like, you have to take that control of, this is our year. This is the year. Like, there's no way out. There's no excuses or back doors. With one way or another, we're making this happen.
Yeah. And when you put it out there, what's so amazing to me is when you just don't accept no as an answer, when you just full force, like, you fight it, and you fight with, like, for the positivity, for the change, for the, new life, if you will, for the dream, whatever it is, like, you don't know how it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, here I was last year, miserable. And my New Year's resolution, I knew at the time, it wasn't a resolution. It was going to change. Like, this is it. And it's fun. I would never know that I would meditate or have a life coach, or like, meet the people that I'm meeting, or including you, I can't dream that up.
Yeah.
But when you have your arms open, it comes to you.
I love that. When you have your arms open, it comes to you. That totally sums it up. And that's what I try and explain. It's like, I can't give you our business model, but I can tell you that if I wasn't climbing the hill and I wasn't building traction, I wouldn't even there's no way I'd come close. There's just a difference between just saying, like, I'm totally going to be a millionaire this year. I don't know how, but I hope it happens, to, like, I'm becoming one. I'm meeting the people I'm going to have to meet. I'm doing what I have to do. And even if it doesn't happen till December 30th, and that thing, the light bulb goes off, something clicks, something sells really well, you still have to put it out there, or it doesn't happen. So we could talk about that for like an hour, don't you think?
Yeah. But the other thing too is like, what if you get to, like, if you want $1 million, you get to 900,000, you're like, whoop-de-doo, I didn't make my goal.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Yes, like, it's better to fall short. I read that, I think, in a Grant Cardone book, or else, I don't remember. I've read so many books this year. It's better to fall short of $1 million than to fall short of 100,000. Like, we're not going to shoot for 100,000 this year.
All right.
And we're totally okay if we don't hit it. We're going to be on the right track, though, to where next year for sure we would, and maybe 2 or 3 million,
Right.
There's a lot of smart people in the world, and it's nice to feel like, okay, we can do this. Like, there's a lot of dumb people who make money too. If they can do it, we can. Right, though?
Right.
Yeah, we can totally hit it. So that's exciting. I'm glad to, like you said, I never would have known I'd be meeting you. The podcast has opened so many doors. I love the referral system with my podcast, because it's like, I'll talk to people 4 levels deep from somebody I first talked to in, like, January. I'm like, wait, how do I know you? This is amazing. And I need them in my life right when I interview them. Yeah. It's always like, oh my gosh, I needed to talk to you on this specific day. Even you today, it's like, we're at that weird funky time in business where we just moved and we're trying to get remotivated. And it's like, yes, I'm talking to somebody who's getting me excited and I just want to work. And so it's awesome.
And it's summer, and, it's crazy with the summer, and the kids are, out of school, and everybody's routines change. My routine has changed because their routine has changed. And you're like, oh my gosh, how is this going to come together? Yes. And it does raise anxiety. I get it. Yeah. But then, it's summer, and it's not you keep moving.
Yeah. It's not the end of the world to go have fun at the lake or at the beach or, something.
Right. My coach, Rich, she would say to me, I'm like, I always feel like I'm behind. I always feel like I'm, not doing enough, or not that I'm not doing enough, but that I'm just always late. And she just went to me, she went, oh, honey, that is a game you will never win. And I'm like, that's right. That's true. It's like, I get to choose, at what time I'm going to reach my goal. And if it's if it's the end of the year, you're going to make $1 million, or if it's, next summer, it's up to you to decide that, nobody else is making those rules for me. Like, oh yeah, it is up to me.
Yeah. It's weird because you come through a life like, you probably had jobs as a teenager or even as a young adult or, as an adult where you're always accountable to someone and you're only doing your job to stay out of trouble or to like stay productive so that you look good and you can make your paycheck. And then when you're like an entrepreneur, it's like, okay, I am not going to, like I remember saying one day, if I just stopped doing this podcast altogether, nobody would be mad at me. I mean, people would be sad, but like I wouldn't get in trouble. I wouldn't be, it's not like it's like firing myself, but it would be fine. But it's like a different motivation. And I think that's where you have to keep yourself in check because it's like, if I don't work, I don't make money. If I don't work, I'm not fulfilled. So don't do it out of like this guilt, but do it out of like, if I don't do this, then I won't be happy. Or, my deadline is my own just so that I push myself. Nobody else is pushing.
But then I also think that's the amazing thing is that as a mompreneur, that to fight the guilt of, yes, I don't have to work all day. I can go to the beach with my kids. Mm-hmm. And it's okay. These are arbitrary deadlines that I'm putting forth, but how do I make that work for me where I'm being fulfilled and moving forward and doing all the things that I, love to do and dream of doing. And then also I want to, be present with my family. I want to raise a solid unit. Mm-hmm. I want my, things to be relatively well managed. I want my family life and I want my work life. Mm-hmm. And I just had to accept, with my coach's help, I had to accept that, these are my deadlines, that this is, and it's okay. And so I just find the time elsewhere.
That's awesome. I love that. And it is like, that's the ultimate balancing act, trying to have both of those things. It's possible. You have to be nice to yourself though, don't you think?
Totally.
Like you can't expect to be perfect at both. And I feel like it each has its kind of, I don't know, it's ebb and flow a little bit. Like there's days where I just don't really want to be a mom. Like I'll say that. I don't want to take care of anybody but myself.
Totally.
I think even full-time moms feel that way. They're just like, I just want to go sit in the bathroom with the door locked and nobody talk to me.
Totally.
So those are normal feelings. But then there's days where I'm like, I don't want to look at my computer. I don't want to answer an email. I don't want to even look at Instagram. Like I just want to be full-time present with my kids. And I think it's important to listen to those instincts, and the balance happens if you're putting forth the mental effort, and it's going to work out, and the kids know.
They know. And I think, when Sue, you kind of have to say, figure out what's important, know, and saying no to, it's all the cliche things that they say, but once you're like, put it into action, you're like, I'm okay. I actually didn't need to hang out with those people today. Yeah. And, and I've got my kids right here, and, you're just making decisions based on your priorities.
Yeah, it's totally true. Oh, well, you're very inspiring, and I'm excited about your podcast. I'm excited to go listen to more episodes and hear some more of kind of what you're up to in your business and life, because I love the whole mompreneur. It's not like a new thing. There's always been working moms, but I feel like there's this huge surgence of it. And I've talked to other moms who are trying to figure out, why do we feel so inclined to do both? Why aren't we just content being full-time moms? Why do we feel this need to do more? And even at church on Sunday, I was like, oh my gosh, like there's a reason that we're called to do more sometimes, where we feel that urgency. And it's not because of just personal fulfillment. It's putting good into the world, especially good on the internet. I remember when my podcast came out and I would search new and noteworthy for other podcasts to listen to, and some of them on there were terrible. Like they were just not, it wasn't good stuff. It wasn't putting good things on the internet. And I feel like the more we're putting good and positivity out there, that not only kind of enters our own home, but it enters the world that our kids are going to grow up in.
Yeah.
So there's more to it than just like, oh, I need to feel fulfilled in my business. It's like, I'm doing this and there's a reason. There's a much bigger picture.
Yeah. So yeah. I may not understand it, but hopefully I'm giving back.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Absolutely. So tell us a little bit more about yourself on top of the podcast. I mean, have you based your business around the podcast, or was it kind of like, I mean, I know you kind of talked about how it came about, but other than consulting, kind of what else keeps you busy with the business?
Oh my goodness. Well, I love the interviews. I mean, that is, I just get really excited to hear, to talk with other women. I really, really do. And it's just amazing how, and enlightening that it's not the specific path that we're all taking or that we're all supposed to take. Everybody has their own journey. And I just love, how authentic everyone is. So my day is basically, if that's the question, my day is different all the time, but it's interviewing, it's doing corresponding blog posts, it's learning, there's so much learning. And I have to say, I think I was amazed that Pinterest has given me so much information aside from, how to, put together a Super Bowl party. It's like the unknown.
It is, right? I've just discovered it.
Yes, it is like
holy cow.
Unbelievable. That and YouTube. If you need to know how to do anything, it's Pinterest or YouTube. Yeah. And then, like I said, now, so I've got clients that I work with as well. So it's either a consulting or helping them with some implementation. It's preparing for, just the next surge. It's exposing, the podcast and the blogs and everybody out there. There's, work that goes behind that. I'm adding on a small team. So it's interviewing and trying to, figure out where the maximum time, most efficient way to, keep them working and way to help me. Yeah. So, and then in between, it's trying to actually be productive while my kids are up and out. And, so I've got the morning and a little bit of the afternoon. And then the girls have, swim or taekwondo. And then we got to do dinner and, all these different things. And then when they're back, when they're down and in bed, then it's back to work. Yeah. It's back to work.
You are living a parallel life to my life. I'm not even kidding. I think we started our podcast the same time, the beginning of the year, right?
Yeah.
And you just summed up my day. It's like a little bit in the morning. Now we're living in a place where my family can help. And we're also kind of building a little team, people to help us with different things. And I'm right there with you. I feel like you just described my day.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's nonstop. You have to work that much though, when you're trying to build that traction and, learning, like you said, Pinterest. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is a whole new world. I had no idea. How long have I not been knowing, first of all, to promote your business, to create your own content, and also all of the information on there. It's amazing. Right. It's so funny that we're both discovering all of these little pieces. Fun.
Nice to meet you. Yes. Yeah, it is. It's amazing. So it's still building the foundation. Yeah. Then it's, monetizing or consulting. And then it's continuing to grow in the piece that has been established, and like I said, trying to live, a meaningful life with my family,
Oh, I totally know. I love it. I'm so glad that I reached out to you and that we've been able to meet, because it's so fun to get to know other people who understand the entire process. Like I said, I can't say it anymore. Doing the exact same stuff you're doing and trying to figure it all out.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so I have 2 more questions for you.
Okay.
Tell us what you're reading right now.
Okay, so I'm going back to Shauna Niequist. I think I said her name right. I love her. And I've actually been cyber stalking her, trying to get her on my podcast.
Don't you love that?
I'm like, hi, it's so whenever you're ready.
I really need you on here because I really am in love with you.
I'm in love with you. So Savior is her is her book, and it's a daily one that I go through. And then there's another book that I love of hers, it's Bread and Wine. So I love those. And then a lot of Pinterest blog posts. As I'm hitting, I'm like, oh, this is interesting.
You're totally in like the info dumping phase, right? Like trying to learn all the stuff before you put it into practice.
Oh, goodness. Yes.
I get it. Okay. And then finally, what makes you a marvelous mom?
I think that I am just not accepting last year as my life anymore, and I am determined every moment of every day now to make it what I want and the best that it can be.
That's awesome. I love that so much. Thank you so much, Ashlee. You're amazing, and it's been so fun to chat with you and get to know you a little bit better.
Thank you. It's been nice talking with you. Thank you for having me on.
You bet. It was my honor and privilege. It's always fun to meet a new podcaster.
Yeah. Thank you.
You bet. And to the rest of you guys listening, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you on the next episode. Are you interested in the idea of starting your own podcast? I can tell you exactly how to do it step by step in 7 days. That's right, 7 days to a podcast. Go check it out right now at passiveimpact.com to get started on your very own podcast.